In this video, we will be exploring the backstory of Madame Leota if Disney's Haunted Mansion were adapted into a television series. I recommend watching part 1 as I begin this fictional television series in New Orleans during the 1800s. Quick disclaimer, this is a made-up series. It is not historically accurate, although some historical facts are included. In my opinion, Madame Leota is the most interesting and iconic character in the Haunted Mansion universe. If you've ever visited Disney World, Disneyland, and Disneyland Paris, you'll know she has a special room dedicated to her. A space where she can harness her energy and connect with the spiritual realm. This shows just how important she was to Master Gracie. For a character this grand, she deserves a rich and detailed backstory. In the 2023 Haunted Mansion film, Madame Leota is portrayed at the height of her career as a professional medium. However, the film doesn't explore her backstory. We don't know how she achieved her success, we don't know where she was born, or how she practiced the art of divination. She is simply presented as the best of the best, and we are expected to accept that. What the film could have done is draw inspiration from the real-life voodoo queen, Marie Laveau. One fact I wanted to point out is that, according to Britannica, Marie Laveau was not a full-time voodoo practitioner. Laveau became a hairdresser to create economic stability for herself and her family. Through interaction with her black clients, who were house servants, she was exposed to personal information about her wealthy white clients, who often sought her counsel. The film could have humanized Leota by giving her roles outside of herbalism and spiritualism, specifically roles that granted her access to the upper class. I've always wondered about Madame Leota's ethnicity. If we look at Madame Leota's Disney Wiki fandom page, two things that stand out to me are her skin tone and her eyes. She didn't strike me as someone from Salem, Massachusetts, but she did seem like she'd be of French and indigenous descent. This would explain her involvement in New Orleans as the French took over land starting from the Great Lakes and ending in Louisiana, or as they call it, the New France. Now let's begin this fictional series in the Great Lakes region. According to an article titled Great Lakes Indigenous People and the French by the Minnesota Historical Society, by the early 1700s, the fur trade was firmly established in the Great Lakes region. The French Empire was based on the fur trade in this region and required Native American alliances to sustain it. Native people and the French traded, lived together, and often married each other and built families together. Now that we have this very interesting fact about the French and the indigenous people and their alliance, now let's get back to the fictional story. It is springtime, and we have baby Leota Toombs Thomas, who was born in the Great Lakes region. Her birth took place in the woods, and I'd say they were located somewhere next to Lake Superior, closer to Ontario, Canada. The mother was indigenous, and the father was French. A French man and indigenous woman coming together was done strategically. As Jamie Yang says,
"It's not love, it's a good deal."
According to the Wikipedia page named Mariage à la façon du pays, or Marriage According to the Country, in the section titled The Domestic Roles Played by Indigenous Women, European suitors were required to pay a bride price to her family. One account from a trader was that he was required to pay her family 15 guns and 15 blankets, as well as other items in order to take his bride. Due to rising tensions between the French and the British over territory in North America, Leota's family fled the Great Lakes and traveled south across the French-colonized Louisiana. Their French journey would have started in what is now Minneapolis, and they would hop onto the Mississippi River and make their way down to Louisiana. As they began settling in Louisiana, Leota's father acquired land as he was already married. The French-born population was unwelcoming though, as according to the Catholic priests, marriages between French men and non-French native women were not allowed. Even though the French population wasn't as welcoming, the enslaved population were more accepting. Over time, Leota built strong ties with the Creole, Black, Spanish, and Indigenous communities. During the weekdays and weekends, she would spend her time studying herbology and spiritualism. After her father returned to France due to Napoleon selling Louisiana to the Americans, and following the sudden death of her mother, Leota became even more connected to her community and more dedicated to her spiritual studies. On a gloomy afternoon, Leota visited her mother's grave deep in the woods, away from the city. While there, she saw a figure walking among the trees. To her shock, it was her mother's spirit. Leota was horrified, but also comforted. This experience confirmed for her that spiritualism was not something to take lightly. Every year, she brings offerings to her mother's grave. With her father's land and home sold, Leota worked as a full-time house servant for owners Béatrice and Jean Moncler. Beatrice didn't like her very much as she was jealous of her ethnic beauty. As a result of this jealousy, Beatrice made everyday chores a challenge. After repeated verbal and physical violence from Beatrice, Leota shouted out foreign words at Beatrice, according to a documented eyewitness. The sky was clear, and out of nowhere, a bolt of lightning hit Beatrice, an event many called a curse, preceded by the sound of a mysterious bell. No one was sure where the sound of the bell came from. Rumors spread that Leota had cursed a wealthy owner. Her community took this as a warning. Leota had magical powers and should not be crossed. Leota embraced these rumors. She built a small home, the one we now recognize from Disney World, Memento Mori. Madame Leota began welcoming people of all classes who sought her guidance and marveled at her powers. This concludes part 2 of this video. If you really like this version of the story, please select the like button and subscribe. Stick around for part 3, where we will be introducing the tightrope walker, Sally Slaughter's backstory.